G'day all you mob. Welcome to Australia. My name's Andrew Smith. Barra yitir Andrew Smith. Ye guri barrai. This is Aboriginal land. Wanyambu, Wanyambu. Always and always. Here in Australia, right across this beautiful country, we have the world's oldest living culture. For a long time, my people have had the perfect blueprint, a sophisticated lifestyle on how to live in this country. And we are still connected to that lifestyle, and our cultural expression is so beautiful, and we're ready to share it with you. Our connection with country is about being part of self, and you can feel that as well. Mother Nature is a part of us. We are not separated from that. If you tell me that I'm disconnected to my land, you might as well just be cutting off my arm. When I go out on the land and I listen to the whispers of my mother, she's sharing all of my ancestors' memories with me. I can go out on country and just sit silent and just listen to all of the sounds and the noises that help create my language. It helps share my connection. It helps me understand my people, my cultures, my traditions, my practices, and all of my beliefs. And I'm here today to tell you that if you come on over, we can share that with you and give you one of the greatest experiences and unlock what it means to you to walk through this beautiful country with me and so many other beautiful Aboriginal people that are providing you with the experiences of a lifetime. When you come and spend time with us as Aboriginal people, we'll ask you to walk on country. We might even ask you to take off your shoes, because that skin-on-skin contact with our Mother Earth is where that energy and that connection starts. In our culture, there is no time. It's all about place, space and people. And we want you to come on over with us and be in this space and place with us so that we can put time down and just be present.
We have in our presence today, I like that pun, Meg Boyd, who's coming to us all the way from Australia at the ungodly hour of 6 a.m. Though, Meg, you're working down in Australia for us at the moment, is that correct?
I am. I'm normally based in Toronto, but I escaped the winter, and then right now I'm in Melbourne, and later on today I'll be flying up to Queensland.
Oh, you're going up to Queensland today? Okay.
I am.
And why Meg's in Australia, she does North American hours, and I did this when I was home recently. So it's up at about 2 o'clock in the morning, working through till about 8 o'clock in the morning, Sydney or Australia time, as the case may be. So before we get into all things down under, let me just preface that again. Meg Boyd is the product manager for all things South Pacific, which is naturally Australia, but also includes New Zealand and the Pacific Islands, Tahiti, Fiji, the Cooks, and newly on the scene, and we might jump into this one straight away, says it's segueing nicely, Samoa. Is that new to us, Meg, Samoa, or has it always been there, but we're now just, enhancing it?
It has been part of our islands portfolio for quite some time, but this is the first real focus back on Samoa post-pandemic. So we have recently signed a joint marketing agreement with Samoa Tourism, and I was lucky enough, I was actually in Samoa in February for a trade show called the Samoa Travel Exchange, and I spent a week there and saw what felt like every single hotel on the islands. So we did lots of hotel inspections. We had a 2-day trade show, experienced the ferry and a lot of the culture and the sites. It was beautiful. So I've been developing a lot of product, and we should be launching soon.
Now, on that note, we are here today to talk about Australia primarily, but coming up as part of this joint marketing program, we are having a podcast all about Samoa with Meg, because she was just there as well, plus the Samoan Tourism Board. So keep an eye out for that, because if you want to learn more details about Samoa, we'll be getting stuck into that, as the Aussies would say. There's something else I wanted to speak to you about, Meg. When I was home about a month ago, as I just mentioned, a big cyclone came through primarily in the north coast, being Queensland. There's a bit of a tail end of it was sort of felt in New South Wales, Sydney, where I was. And what made the news, particularly obviously in Australia, but I think worldwide, was the fact that many of the beaches around the Gold Coast were washed away by the cyclone. Now, you're heading up to Brisbane or Queensland today, you said. Do you know how the beaches are recovering up there?
I do. I've actually been keeping an eye on it because I'm going to the Gold Coast where my mum lives, and she's only about a 10-minute drive from Surfers Paradise and Broadbeach, two of the most sort of beautiful stretches of beach in Queensland. And I go down every day, have a coffee, walk on the beach. So they were really badly damaged. The mayor of the Gold Coast, a gentleman by the name of Tom Tate, has been promising that they will be ready for the school holidays. So obviously not all of the beaches, they're obviously not back to normal, but there are dredges right now, dredging sand and putting it back on the beach. So I'm sure that the sort of, the main surface Paradise Beach and probably Broad Beach are, looking pretty good. There's obviously, they can't fix everything at once, but I will be going down myself tomorrow to check it out. And I can even send some photos actually that we can post on our Goway Facebook page of what they're looking like now.
Yeah, please, because for those who mightn't have seen it, it was literally, the classical Australian white sandy beaches turned into cliff faces, literally like 10-foot drops. Yeah.
Sort of 2-meter drops, 8-foot drops. And these beaches are, they're wide beaches, and it just disappeared pretty much overnight. And I guess what was unique about that particular cyclone is, Australia's used to cyclones, but they're normally in the north part of the country, whereas this one hit, Brisbane pretty much right in the centre of the east coast. So that was the first time in, I think, over 50 years.
Yeah. Thankfully, it wasn't as big and dangerous as they forecast, but it still did some damage with flooding.
It was just our beaches, sadly.
Yeah, but the good thing about Australia is they know the importance of, one, ecologically getting those back together, but obviously from a tourism point of view. I think literally 2 days after the storm had moved on, they had the tractors down there, and as you say, the dredges are working. Yeah. So that's all heading in the right direction.
It sure is.
So we're here to talk about Australia. So as I mentioned, Meg is our product manager for the South Pacific and has been with Goway for a long time, almost as long as me. How long have you been with Goway, Meg?
February, it was 20 years.
20 years. So I started just after you, because I'm coming up soon after that to 20 as well. And I think you started in sales but moved to product at some stage, correct?
Correct. Yeah, I started in our retail division, selling Australia, New Zealand and our islands, and then moved across to product, and been doing that for quite some time. Did a few different things still with Goway over COVID, but product is where my heart is.
Right. Now, you said you're in Melbourne. Are you from Melbourne originally, or are you from Queensland?
No, originally from Melbourne, and my mum, she went up to Queensland about 30 years ago, so I consider myself a bit of a dual citizen now, both Victoria and Queensland. I do love Queensland.
There's a lot of
to love in Queensland in the winter. The sunshine, the beaches, and Melbourne's just beautiful. They're both beautiful, different but beautiful.
Yeah, they're both. And for those who don't know, Queensland, particularly Brisbane area, the Gold Coast, which is south of Brisbane, is what North American could relate to as being Florida. That's where a lot of Australians will go, as Meg said, in the wintertime, because it's pretty much sunny year round on the southern coast of Queensland.
It is.
And there is a friendly rivalry between all the states and territories in Australia. So hence Meg saying she's the dual citizenship within her one country. So Meg, what's happening with Australia of late? From, again, I used to work in product as well. I don't like the word product for what we do, but it is what it is. It is product. But what are the exciting things that are happening in Australia now for anyone from North America looking at visiting Australia?
Yeah. Look, there's always a lot going on. There's always, loads of hotel openings, which I'm not really going to talk about today, apart from a couple. But a couple of exciting things in particular. There's a brand new property opening up in the Whitsundays. So the Whitsundays is it's about halfway between Brisbane and Cairns. It's another access point for the Great Barrier Reef. So the Whitsundays it's about 300 islands. It's an amazing place for sailing, but Hamilton Island is probably one of the most well-known islands. It's quite large. It's got its own airport. It's got its own marina. And they've got a brand new 5-star property opening in just under a week, I believe, or about a week.
Nice.
Yeah, it's called the Sundays, and it's a little bit different in the fact that it's 5-star, but it's family friendly. So Hamilton Island have a number of properties. They've got a couple of 5-star properties, but they're all adult only. So they saw a gap in the market. So a luxury property aimed towards families, and I believe it's the 24th that it's opening. So, so that's pretty exciting. We're all excited about that. Sorry.
Yep. Sorry, go on. No, after you.
No, I was just going to say another thing in Queensland that is causing a lot of buzz right now, and I know it's Time Magazine's, I think it's, one of top places to go or top things to do, is it's more aimed at families again, is Bluey's World. So Bluey's, yeah.
Now, can you educate me and those out there who may not know, because when I know it's a kids show, kids phenomenon, and when I was growing up, with my boys, it was, the Teletubbies and Dora the Explorer, and of course the Wiggles from the Australian side of things. Now, Bluey, that's obviously an Australian character or cartoon character.
It is. It's a
right?
cartoon, and Bluey's a dog, and
Mm-hmm.
based in Queensland. There is a house that I think just incidentally just went up for sale a little while ago. But it's one of the most successful children's programs in the world now, I believe.
Really?
Yeah, it is. And so in a pavilion in Brisbane, they've essentially recreated, obviously, a very large scale version of the house. So it's an interactive / immersive experience where people go and they kind of like make their way through the Bluey house. In all honesty, we don't sell tickets for it, but we can obviously help with all the arrangements around it.
Getting to and from, right?
Yeah. So there's a lot of buzz, and like I said, Time Magazine have featured it. So I know Brisbane Marketing are also, there's a lot of buzz around Bluey's World right now. And I know it is aimed at families, but it's definitely worth a mention.
Yeah, but still, I don't think anyone. Well, maybe people would have guessed the success of Hobbiton in New Zealand off the back of the movie. So why not Bluey's house? Like if it's if the kids love it. I remember we went when I was in Australia with my boys two of them when they were very, very young. We walked by the Sydney Entertainment Centre, which is no longer there. But just walking down the harbour and we saw the Wiggles were on. So, we have to go see the Wiggles. So we took our kids in there who both fell asleep. But
money well spent.
Yeah, exactly. Money well spent. But anything that's popular with the kids will be popular for the parents for sure. Yeah. And as you mentioned now, you got two family oriented product down there. Australia, as I can attest to, is a great destination for families, regardless of the product you've just mentioned. Correct?
Oh, honestly, there's so much to do. Whether you've got multi-generational travel, couples, families, there really is something for everything. Just a tiny little segue. You just mentioned Hobbiton, something that just opened late last year, and you may not know this yet from when you were there. Hobbiton has actually opened a hobbit hole. They basically turned one of their hobbit holes into an actual hobbit house. So before you could just look at it was kind of facades. You get to Hobbiton, you'd see the little doors. Now you can actually go in to the hobbit hole and you can see the bedroom and the kitchen, and you can lie in the bed and you can sit on the toilet, fully dressed, of course. You can
of course, yes.
sit at the kitchen table. It's included in the experience. They had to make it about a half hour longer to incorporate this, and I was actually lucky enough to be there. I had 2 weeks vacation in New Zealand in February. We went there. It was fantastic. So anyone that actually has been to New Zealand and seen Hobbiton definitely has a reason to go back. And this is from somebody that's not actually into Lord of the Rings at all. I've been to Hobbiton twice, and I think it's fabulous. So it's not just for
you enjoy it?
Lord of the... No, the first time I saw it, I thought that's 3 hours I'm not getting back. I just watched it again on a plane because I thought maybe I missed something, and it was great. But again, I guess my point there is you don't have to be a fan to go to Hobbiton and think it's fantastic. That's a little digression. Sorry there.
No, that's fine, because it's interesting you brought that up, because we have one of our destination specialists here. He works in the Latin department. He used to work for me when I looked after the department, Luis.
Yes.
He's Mexican by birth, hence why he's in the Latin department, but he's a mad traveler. Like every time I look up, he's on Facebook, posting stuff, and I believe I saw him in this, what'd you term it as, the Hobbit hole?
Absolutely, because I organised it for him. And
you did? There you go.
I did, and on this particular trip, this is what our staff are all about, actually. So he's gone to Australia, New Zealand, and he's in Fiji right now. It's his 100th country.
I knew he had to be up there somewhere. Like I was posting on our road shows the other day that I've hit 96 countries, and I get the oohs and ahs, which I do appreciate. But I knew Louis had to be there or more, because he's just...
Fiji was 100.
Yeah, he's just obsessed with traveling, that man, and good on him.
Is.
Yeah. Okay, so one thing I want to just sort of broaden on the Whit Sunday. So one, they call Whit Sundays because that's when they were discovered, on Whit Sunday, which is a Easter date. I'm not Catholic or even slightly religious. I'm not sure the true relevance, but I know it's a religious day or date. And as you said, there are 300 islands. Now, the Hamilton Island one, I think I went to Hamilton many, many years ago. What I'm getting at here is with all these islands, a lot of people, a lot of Australians even immediately associate the Whitsundays as being expensive or high end, but there is a wide selection of lodges and hotels and resorts, correct? It's not just all 5-star throughout the
No,
Whitsundays?
not at all. So Hamilton Island has multiple hotels. It's almost like a city on its own island, and I mean, not in a busy kind of way. But they, I guess what we would call their lead-in accommodation, palm bungalows. So, sort of freestanding bungalows, 3.5 star. You've got a 4-star, what they call a reef view hotel. You've got a luxury lodge of Australia called Qualia. You've got 2 5-star. You've got the Sundays that I just talked about, and there's a Hamilton Island Beach Club, which is adult. So there's all kinds of accommodation. On top of that, they've got rental apartments as well, sort of 1, 2, 3-bedroom apartments that go into a letting pool. So there's a lot of accommodation to choose from.
So on the accommodation front, Goway was famous for, I guess it still is to a degree, on the snowbird stays, the long-term stays, which started at least with Goway in the Gold Coast, where you're heading to.
Yep.
Do we still do that type of thing as well? That snowbird stay for a long-term visit to Australia?
They are on Goway.com. So we've got 2 properties on the Gold Coast, and we've got one on the Sunshine Coast. So we've got one down pretty much almost on the Coolangatta, so pretty much on the border of New South Wales and Queensland, and another one in Broadbeach, and then up on the Sunshine Coast. So it's transfers, it's 28 nights accommodation, and they're in self-contained apartments. And so
or a condo a condo.
Yeah, condo, sorry, self-contained condos. So separate kitchen, bedroom, laundry facilities. And they're all on Goway.com.
Oh, excellent. That's good to know, because again, we pioneered that back in the day. And I think at its peak, 80s, 90s particularly, we probably had quite a few more offerings down there. But if someone comes to you with a request like that, or comes to one of the destination specialists for Downunder for a long-term stay, and it's not necessarily that, the condos you mentioned, can we assist with other types of accommodation for long-term?
100%. So we've got our own office. As you know, we've got our own office in Sydney. So Sydney, if somebody, we have it quite often, someone will come in and look, what, I want to stay here for a month. We can go to Sydney, we can go to the properties and ask them for a special discounted rate for a long-term stay. That is not a problem at all.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Now, Goway also made it was famous for, at its peak, as in not Goway at its peak, but this particular style of trip at its peak, Hollows of a Lifetime. Our most successful ones were always into Australia and New Zealand, the Waltzing Matilda. Now, I don't think they're running anymore, but we have a different version of that called the Odyssey. So
we do.
Can you expand on the Odyssey options for Australia, and since we're in that area, also New Zealand?
So Australia is a work in progress. There's certain parameters for our Odysseys. We've actually got them over pretty much all of our different divisions and in Goway. So we've got them in Europe, we've got them in Africa, we've got them in Asia. So we have certain parameters, and things like no more than 4 hours a day in a vehicle. So there's a whole bunch of things. Yep. Australia was a little hard because Australia is more of a fly around destination. So Australia's a little bit of a work in progress. But our New Zealand Odyssey started last year. We had 6 departures and 5 of them sold out. The first one didn't quite sell out, but we sent our VP of our South Pacific division. He went down there and he road tested it, which was fantastic. And then every departure after that went out full, which was amazing. So nice. And our new season's 25-26. We're actually making a few tweaks for it now, but essentially it's a small group 16-day multi-day tour, first-class hotels, pretty much full days of sightseeing, selection of meals, not all meals, but a lot of meals, fully guided. You've got a driver. It's a great little program. I'm actually meeting with our operator in New Zealand in about half an hour, just about some more little tweaks for 25-26. But it's locked, it's loaded, it's on the website, and it's ready to go. And we're sure this one's going to sell out as well.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. The Odysseys are also guaranteed departures. Is that correct?
Yep. We didn't have a problem with that last year.
But it's good to know for our listening audience, whether it be New Zealand or any of our others, and this is one of the reasons they are being so popular, particularly from the trade partner point of view, is you can look at one of those tours, book your clients on, and know that it's going to go. So that's another positive thing. A positivity.
Yeah.
Speaking of positivities, You mentioned Australia as a fly-around destination for the most part, though we do sell a lot of camper vans or RV tours. We have that access to that.
Lots of road trips. I guess there you can't get everywhere you want to go in a 4-hour road trip. I guess was
exactly. So we have that option. But another really good way of getting around Australia, and I was speaking to Corey just a minute ago. Corey's our account manager based in California, has been to Australia up to 10 times, and we were chatting about this rail travel. So the two big famous ones would be the Indian Pacific from Perth to Sydney or vice versa, or the GAN from Adelaide up to Darwin or again vice versa. But we also sell a train journey. I'm not sure what it's called. You can obviously tell us what it is, from Sydney up to the Gold Coast or all the way to Cairns, I believe. Is that right?
So I love these trains. I get really excited.
Yeah.
So there's a couple of months of the year when it's really, really hot in the top part of the Northern Territory. So the GAN train has just a little temporary holiday, and while that train's on holiday, they run another trip called the Great Southern, and it actually goes from Queensland down the coast of Australia and across to Adelaide.
Right.
So it is seasonal. It's just sort of that January, February time. The product is exactly the same. It's exactly the same train. They literally slide out the GAN name and they slide on the other name. And that does operate, just for that couple of months where the GAN doesn't.
Right. So again, there are, getting around Australia, as all people aren't aware, Australia's as big as the US. Like, it's a big country. It takes, I think the flight time from Sydney to Perth is 5-6 hours. It's
it's
a long
quite a
way.
ways.
Yeah. So as Meg's mentioned as well, particularly most North Americans will spend 2 to 3 weeks. Would that be the average stay in Australia, Meg?
Yeah, it would be. Yeah.
Yeah. So time is of the essence, of course. So that's why obviously flying is the main way to get around. Though if you do have more time, as we just discussed, the trains and or your RV options, or flights, or all three combined. Speaking of flights,
yes,
and I bring this up because we had a co-op with Virgin Air and the Brisbane Airport. So Brisbane is becoming an equal main gateway in and out of Australia. So can you enlighten us on options to get to and from Australia, be it East Coast North America or West Coast North America?
Yeah, so Brisbane, yes, they definitely have developed their airport, and they are getting a lot more traffic as far as international flights. United fly from San Fran into Brisbane. We've actually got, and I guess also I should mention, you mentioned our co-op with Virgin, you can actually fly from Brisbane direct to Uluru. So that really opens up access to the Red Centre as well. Before, it was pretty much just Sydney or Melbourne into Uluru, which is the Indigenous name for Ayers Rock, for those that may not know. So now you can actually fly from Brisbane. So that really opens up an itinerary. You can fly into Melbourne, across to Uluru, up to Brisbane, do some stuff in Queensland, down to Sydney. So it just gives a lot more access into Uluru.
Okay, so what would be the most, for a North American who has those 2.5 to 3 weeks, what would be the most common or suggested itinerary for a first-time visitor?
Probably the most iconic trip, and I do have a brand new trip on the web. It's called Australia's Big Three, but it's the good old, what we call Sydney Rock and Reef.
Yep.
So flying into Sydney, spending 3, 4, 5 days in Sydney, going into the Red Centre, doing Uluru, doing Kings Canyon, that whole sort of Red Centre region, flying up to Cairns, which is access to the Great Barrier Reef and some World, Heritage National Parks. And then perhaps, you could actually come down to Brisbane at the end of that and, fly out from Brisbane. So, or alternatively Melbourne. But your Sydney Rock and Reef is probably your iconic Australian trip for your first time visitor. To me, it would be a shame not to, throw in Melbourne. I mean, where do you stop, right? Where do you start? But
exactly, yeah.
Maybe
because I'm going to throw at you now.
Yeah.
Well, not throw at you per se, but throw our audience at another very often overlooked state is Tasmania, which many Australians haven't visited. I'm one of them. Hasn't gone down to Tassie, but Tasmania is something that's worth considering as well, either second visit or if you have more time. And again, we do deal with a lot of people who are retired or semi-retired and do have some more time.
They have a bit more time. Tassie is extraordinarily beautiful. I feel in some ways, it's actually known, this is a fact, it's actually got the cleanest air in the world up in the sort of the northwestern corner. But there's a lot of history there.
Yeah.
A lot of history, a lot of fantastic architecture, beautiful national parks, pristine pristine wilderness. You've got some unique wildlife down there as well.
Yeah.
I feel like, food in Australia I think is fantastic, but I think down in Tassie it's even elevated that little bit more, that whole paddock to plate.
Oh, really?
And yeah, the food's amazing. Very proud of their food. It's a beautiful little state. It's small, so it doesn't take long to get around, So for somebody, and the traffic's not that busy for somebody that may be considering a self-drive. It could be a nice little, dipping your toe into the self-drive market without dealing with, big city traffic. But, if you don't want to drive, we've got escorted tours. We've got other ways to get people around as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so you go.
I was just going to jump back. We talked about the Whitsundays a little while ago. I don't know if you know this, but just to sort of get it out there, there's actually, in the Whitsundays, you can actually sleep underwater on the Great Barrier Reef. Did you know that?
I did not know that. I know you can do that, I think somewhere, maybe Tahiti or the Maldives is that option.
You can do it in the Maldives. You can actually do it in Australia.
Oh, okay. So how does that work?
So it is a day trip you can do out of Hamilton Island or Daydream Island, also the mainland as well. Basically, you go out by ferry to the pontoon. So it's essentially a Great Barrier Reef day tour. So you get to the pontoon, and the pontoon is where you can do snorkeling, you can do diving, it's your activities platform. Basically, at the end of the day trip goes back to the mainland, and a select few people actually stay on the pontoon and they sleep the night. So they've got 2 underwater rooms that are built. So you go down some stairs, underwater rooms, so bedroom, bathroom. I'd say it's the equivalent of a 4-star hotel room with glass walls, and you're just looking straight out on the fish. So it's pretty amazing. And there's also... Oh, sorry.
So I'm gathering that when you get to your hotel room, it's sort of still daylight, so you can see things, because obviously at night, unless of course they've got spotlights on the floor, which is lighting up at nighttime, or? Yeah,
they do. So basically what happens is you leave in the morning, you get to the pontoon sort of mid-morning, late morning before lunch. So you get there and it's pretty much lunch is served on the boat, but you can also get off the boat and that's when you can start your swimming. Your swimming, your snorkeling, your diving, whatever you want to do. So there's about 3 or 4 hours at the reef. And then when the day trippers leave, that's when you get access to the room. So I guess it's like normal check-in time at a hotel, because the people that were there the night before are still there. So you can, so you go down there, you've got access to your room. They serve, as well as the underwater rooms, they have also up on the pontoon, that one end of it is blocked off and they have reef beds. So it's almost like they've got double beds, they've got they're covered in, so all weather, and you can literally sleep almost under the stars on this pontoon overlooking the reef. So the sunrises are amazing. We all set it. That's what we were in. I was in a reef bed. So they've got a little bit of power in there. So, you can plug in a fan. You've got a little light. Shared bathroom facilities. So like I said, after everyone leaves, you go from having potentially a few hundred people to maybe 20 or 30 people. So we did an introductory dive. We did a guided snorkeling. It includes all your beverages as well. So you have a sunset cocktail. They served what I would call like 5-star dinner. I was kind of expecting a cheeseburger and fries. We got a sensational steak dinner equal to any nice restaurant, like a beautiful dinner, beautiful dessert. There's no light pollution out there, so the sky's amazing.
The sky must be amazing.
Yeah, and then you sort of go to bed and everyone woke up for sunrise, and then...
So I'm gathering this is going to book out quite quickly.
The underwater, there's only 2. There's only 2.
Right.
There's about probably 20 of the reef beds. And you wake up in the morning, again, you've got you've got everything to yourself until the next day trip arrives. So,
wow.
So I know cool. I sort of, jumping all over the place, but it's something that's pretty unique and
that's
very, very cool. Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't know that. I actually, as you were describing, I think I've seen some video on one of the promo videos of Australia. We discussed earlier the Waltzing Matilda, which was a holiday of a lifetime, which included New Zealand and Australia. And we then touched on, or I prompted you on, the ideal itinerary, and you came up with the classic Sydney Rock and Reef. But another classic country combination, would be Australia and New Zealand. Now, between the two countries, it's a flight naturally, but getting around New Zealand, I understand, like it's normally via bus or flight, again, similar to Australia. But are there any rail options in New Zealand? Now, again, we discussed the Australian rail options, but I don't think we've ever discussed rail options in New Zealand.
There's actually 3 major trains in New Zealand. So you've got one,
okay.
so you've got one called the Northern Explorer that runs between Auckland and Wellington, and it does stop along the way. There's another train called the Coastal Pacific. So that runs down the east coast of the South Island, so Christchurch down to Kaikoura. Well, so that's that train. The other one is the Transalpine, which is probably the most famous, and that runs between Christchurch and Greymouth on the South Island as well.
Okay.
So
are those train journeys like day trips, or are they like the Garn and the Inner Pacific where they're 3 or 4 nights?
These are all day trips. Like the Northern Explorer is quite long. It's pretty much a full day. The other ones, depending on how long, but they're definitely shorter. These are just day trains. There's no overnight trains.
So do you just take the train from point A to point B, or do they stop along the way for some excursions?
They stop along the way.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, so essentially, if somebody's you could go from Auckland to Wellington on the train. You can then go from Wellington across to Picton by an inter-islander ferry, and then get a transfer to the train station, and then travel sort of down the coast by train. So
you could connect them together to do top to bottom almost.
You could. And while we're talking about that, we've actually got some new product that's just gone live on our website. Great Journeys of New Zealand have put together escorted rail tours. So they've incorporated these train trips with coach travel, because obviously you can't do the whole, you can't do the whole of New Zealand. So small group, fully escorted rail tours essentially. So incorporating the rail, coach, and again, guided meals, sightseeing. And we've loaded 4 of them. They're on Goway.com.
Okay.
There's a lot more. We can't load everything, but we can sell them all. And there's actually a sale on right now. I just remembered, until the end. Anything booked by the end of April, you save 20%. So it's quite a considerable saving.
Yeah, that is. And for those listening, when Meg refers to load, that means put into our system.
Sorry, yes, in our system,
means,
yes. So our res agents can,
which means we can bring it up instantly and quote on it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And if it's not in our system, as Meg also mentioned, we can sell it. Just might take us a bit longer to confirm pricing for you. But it sort of goes back to what Goway does. We can pretty much anything you can think of or that's out there, we can get it done for you. Sometimes it's quick and easy because it's, as Meg says, it's in our system loaded. Sometimes maybe a little bit longer because we have to go and source some more information for you. Anything else exciting happening in the world? Okay, we've talked Samoa, Australia, and a little bit New Zealand. Since we're in the area of the South Pacific, what about Cook's, Fiji, and Tahiti? Anything exciting happening in either of those island groups?
Yeah, so I think of particular interest in the North American market. Now, this is a few months old now, but the Western brand opened a property up in Bora Bora. So French Polynesia's most iconic island, I guess, arguably.
Yeah, for sure.
And the Western is a brand that is very, very trusted and recognised in North America. So it was a little property called Meridian. It shut down for many years and has been completely rebuilt as the Western. It opened up in September last year. So that's probably the biggest news. We've got some refurbishments and some stuff coming in Tahiti. There's a Intercontinental Thalasso, which is a really popular hotel. They are it's almost like a Y shape, so you've got 2 wings. So they've just shut down one wing and they're putting plunge pools on all the balconies.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and then once that's finished, they're actually going to be closing the resort for probably could be 18 months to 2 years and completely redeveloping their public areas. And it's going to reopen, and it's going to be a different name. It's not going to be an Intercontinental anymore. So we don't know what that is, but it's coming. So that's pretty exciting in Tahiti.
Watch this space.
Yeah.
Anything happening in my favourite little group of islands, the Cook Islands? I love the Cooks.
The Cook, actually, we've got some pretty good news in the Cook Islands. It's a lot easier to get there now. So pre-pandemic,
what's happened?
Pre-pandemic, we used to have a non-stop flight once a week from Los Angeles to Rarotonga with Air New Zealand. And that flight never
Yes.
came back after COVID.
Yeah, after COVID, because I remember when I was down there, it was all via, you had to go via Hawaii down
Yeah, so we've still
with
got
Hawaiian Airlines.
flights, but now it's not brand new, but you can actually fly via Papeete. So you
Oh,
can go from LA to Tahiti, and then you can go non-stop from Tahiti to the Cook Islands.
okay. Now, on that new route, or not new, but now, let's say, reintroduced flight, would you recommend doing 2 island groups together, doing Tahiti and the Cooks, or just focus on one at a time?
Oh, look, if you've got the time and you've got the money, 100% do both. You know, if you did just want to go to the Cooks, it's easy. The timings are good, the connections are good. It's Air Tahiti or Air Rarotonga that do the flights from Papeete.
Papeete.
Yeah, and I actually did both of them back in December. So it's only a couple of hours. And I was so pleasantly surprised at the flights. Like, they're small planes. We got service twice, so food and drinks twice. Like, I mean, you could fly for 7 hours in North America and not even see a peanut, right? So I was like, wow. So really comfortable flights. And yeah, like I said, less than 3 hours. So it was really easy access. So to me, that's really exciting. And if you can,
that is good news.
If you can, even if you just did a stop in Tahiti and go across to Moorea, for a couple of days, why not?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So can you get so if you book to the Cook, can you get a free stopover with this flight? You can?
Yeah. You've got to pay for your accommodation, but the stop's not going to cost you anything.
Yeah, of course. Of course. Unless you want to sleep on the streets. You can do that as well.
Yeah. No, that's exactly what I did. I went to Tahiti and then I just went to the Cooks. It was just 4 nights and then came back and it worked out perfectly. Coming back, I did have a little bit of a delay, in all honesty, a little bit of a delay in Papeete. So I just got day use of a hotel and I went and had a couple of nice swims. I had a nice dinner. I tried to have a nap, but there was a wedding going on at the hotel, and Tahitian weddings, let me tell you, they are loud.
They like to celebrate,
really loud, yeah. And but yeah, it was a great little stopover. It was, so that to me is really exciting news, and they've just doubled the frequency. So, yeah.
So how many times a week? Twice a week, obviously.
Right, yeah. It's going up to like 4. There's 4 options a week. Oh. Yeah.
And where was that from? Was that from LA?
From LA, yeah.
Oh, from LA. Okay, nice.
And you've still got Hawaiian, of course.
Of course, there's another option, which is I flew Hawaiian. It was fantastic. Like you fly into Hawaii, literally get off the plane, sit in a lounge in the area for an hour and a half, 2 hours, and then you're straight on the plane and away you go again. It was fantastic.
Yeah, and Air Tahiti Nui also have flights from Seattle.
Oh, do they?
They do.
Into Papeete, connecting into the Cooks if you want to go there.
Correct, and they've got 3 fares from Canada as well, so it's very easy.
It's very easy to get there. Okay.
Yeah, so that's probably my most exciting news for the Cooks.
Cool ways to get into both Tahiti and the Cooks, and you can either just go straight to the Cooks or do a combination of both. Are there any new exciting? Now, again, we mentioned Brisbane as a big gateway now, and particularly flying straight through to or connecting to Uluru if you want to. Mm-hmm. Are there any new flight options getting into Australia itself from North America?
New ones. We just in December, Fiji Airways started non-stop flights from Dallas to Nandi.
Okay.
And then they have fantastic connections to both Australia and New Zealand.
Yeah. I just when I went to Oz, I went with Fiji Air from LA, and as you say, like you get into, I found it very interesting. You get into Fiji and probably a third of the plane stays in Fiji and the other 2/3 is off connecting somewhere else.
Correct. I've done that flight a few times. Very good. They got brand new A350 aircraft. You know, it's really great.
It was, flying with Fiji Air was, I know it's not really a plug for Fiji Air, but I found it really nice. You get on, they play the Fijian music and of course Fijians are just so friendly and welcoming, and the planes are great. Yeah, it was a really good experience. So that's new, that service out of Dallas, and they've also got a seasonal service also now from Nandi to Cairns, which was which is pretty new as well. So that's never happened before. That's cool.
Yeah, and the other one, big news, it's not starting till December, but I think it's the first time you're going to be able to fly non-stop from North America to Adelaide with United.
Yeah, because Adelaide's normally not an international gateway in, or not at least from North America. It's not, no.
No, so that's brand new. So that's starting in December. I don't know too much more about it than that. Literally, it was just announced like a few days ago.
Okay.
Um, and I believe it's seasonal from December through until March. So we'll probably do something with that with some packages. But that's probably the two latest air news
Yeah,
that
because
we've got.
that's also a beautiful state, South Australia, and that'll make Jason very happy. Jason's another one of our account managers, and he's from Australia, and he's from
He's from
Adelaide, so
Adelaide, yes.
he'll love that. Okay, Meg, thank you very much for your time today.
No
There's a
worries.
lot of really good information there for our travel partners out there. At the moment, without getting into the political reasons, the Australian dollar is good against the American dollar in that. So any Americans out there, you're going to get good value for money. So if you're looking at a trip
Such
down
good
to Australia
value.
in particular, and by extension, New Zealand and probably most of the Pacific Islands, now's a good time to do it because your value is
Dollar
astronomical. So
goes far down here right now. Very, very far.
yes, that's a good reason to not push clients into going, but strongly suggest that if they're looking for Australia, to maybe bring their travel plans up. Anything else you'd like to leave our listening audience with before we say goodbye?
Oh, I think that kind of covers it. I've personally just been working on a lot of airland vacations, so people are looking for that all-inclusive price, airfare, accommodation, sightseeing. If you go, I've probably got about 20 on Goway.com, just different variations of different destinations.
Yeah, Meg is famous within Goway for all her airline combinations. And the reason for that is Goway's been dealing with Australia forever and a day. We're 55 years old this year, so at least 53 years we've been working with Australia. And we are the largest mover of people from North America to Australia, which all means we have exceptional air contracts with all the big players who fly in. As Meg has mentioned, Air Tahiti Nui, Fiji Air, Qantas, Air New Zealand, United, etc.
You name it.
So because we have good contractor rates, Meg's able to package up land and air, as she mentioned. So when you look at Goway.com for Australia and New Zealand and the Pacific Islands, keep an eye out for those air land inclusives because, as she says, it's just one good solid price for pretty much everything that a client will need to do in that respective area of the world.
Yeah, and if people don't know what a vacation is going to cost, it's just an easy way. You can quickly say, you know what, here's this trip. It's 12 days. It's got your airfare. It's $7,000.
Yeah,
And when I price them out, I price them out. Most of them now are priced out from now until 31 March 2026. Now, obviously,
oh wow,
it's subject to availability. Airfares change, but it's going to give you a very good guide.
Yeah. Again, that's a good point. It's a good guideline if you want to actually just throw out a quote to your clients about a trip to Australia, New Zealand, or the South Pacific, or if you want to actually, take it off the shelf, so to speak, you can do that again on the proviso that the seats are available and the airlines haven't made any changes, and we all know how volatile the airlines can be.
Yeah, it's
with
very
their pricing and
dynamic.
stuff.
So, yeah,
It is dynamic, but still, Goway has some good contractor rates, and Meg doesn't throw them up there. Well, she wouldn't throw them up there if they were literally going to change dramatically, day to day. So there might be minor variations, but nothing that shouldn't really change someone's mind or shock them too much. So that's a good thing to look at. Okay, Meg, thank you very much.
No worries.
Appreciate
Thanks
you
for having me.
Like, I know you're getting up early no matter what, but still 6 a.m. is a big one
I've been
for
up
us.
for hours,
So
John. I started.
yeah, I know you have. I know, and then you've got another call coming up now with New Zealand. So enjoy that chat with the Kiwis. Have a good day down there. Go off and you're heading to the airport, but when you get there, go walk on those beaches. Send us a photo or two of how they're bouncing back.
I will.
Everyone out there, thanks for checking in with us again and listening. We really appreciate your time. Meg, again, thank you very much, and we will talk to everyone later.
See you later.
Beautiful.